Hi there, my name is Shaista Latif, and I'm the Assistant Director for the production of The Wanderers, written by Kawa Ada. And today I'm going to be talking about a few basic facts about Afghanistan. Now, before we get started, I just want you to take a moment to think about Afghanistan. What are the first sort of images or sounds or things that you've heard of come to your mind? I'll give you a couple of seconds. Afghanistan. Well, not to be too judgmental or think that I'm going to read your mind, but most common images are of war and instability and poverty and loss of human rights or women's rights. But what people don't get to see is the most beautiful side of the country when once there was lush parks and a sense of community and people being able to connect and modernization from our former presidents and our kings. Now, in the past few years, especially in the decade that has passed, we've seen a lot of troops coming in and out. Now, this has been constant mostly since the 70s, but even prior to that, we've seen 200 years of war. And the only period where there hasn't really been a great deal of war was about 50, 60 years, which is called Afghanistan's golden period. At that point, we had royalty reign, we had a king, but the king was assassinated. Then we had another king, and that king was assassinated until we had our last reigning king, and he was exiled to Italy. From then became a few years of Soviet-Afghan war, leading into the Taliban rule, then leading into 9/11 and the war on terrorism, which we're hopefully going to see the end of in the next couple of years. I myself am an Afghan Canadian playwright, and I've done a lot of research the past couple of years, finding about my own history and where the country is presently. Afghanistan is a landlocked country. It has 6 countries bordering around it, has many lakes: Iran, China, Pakistan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, all border the country. Most of our lakes and our water resources go right into Iran, so we don't actually use a lot of our water resources ourselves, but we do have a lot of other things that we offer, and that includes natural gas, petroleum, copper, uranium, lapis, which I'm wearing today for my grandmother, and other gems too. So there's just a lot of things that other countries can make use of, and that's why we've had a lot of struggle over the years. Afghanistan is not a country full of sand and camels. That's one of the things that people think of. It's actually very like full of forests, and it has lots of lakes and mountains. And there's 4 seasons. We do have a spring, a summer, a winter, and a fall. And yes, it does snow, and it does snow quite a bit. And they do have very harsh, harsh winters. We've also seen a lot of religion over the years. Now, pre-Islamic Golden Age, it was very much a Buddhist country. We have a large Buddhist statue, which many of you have probably seen in magazines or television, very tall, and it was destroyed by the Taliban just a few years ago. And there's been a lot of sculptures and art as well that has had a lot of Buddhist influence too. But now it is considered an Islamic republic and an Islamic country, even though there are some pockets of different religions that do exist, but they're very much, contained in their own worlds. So there are 2 languages that Afghan people speak, and they are Dari and Pashto. Those are our 2 recognized bilingual languages. But we have 7 languages in the entire country and 200 dialects, and so many tribes and many leaders in charge, even though right now we have a president and before we've had a king. When I was growing up, my parents would tell me about how wonderful Afghanistan was, how lush the parks were, how sweet and fruitful the trees were. and how there was a sense of community. But war has really made people drift apart and be divided and separate into different parts of the world. And now we see that a lot of people are going back and a lot of our stories are being shared. Canada is home to 48,000 Afghans. And this is the first time that we're actually getting a play written by an Afghan Canadian. It's the best of both worlds. It's also an opportunity for us to connect and talk about the issues that matter to us the most: displacement and mental illness and family, and being able to connect to a society that may not fully be our own because we're still trying to be attached to our roots. It's also a very complicated play because Afghanistan itself is also a very complicated country with an even more complicated history. And now it's time to actually be able to present a side of a country that people may have not known before. And I think this is a wonderful opportunity to do so. My name is Shaista Latif. I hope you enjoy the show. And I hope that you actually take some time and look up Afghanistan. You might find some interesting facts yourself.